you are the one from whom all of our blessings flow. And we thank you for beyond us. Lord, we're gathered here tonight in a meeting, business, Rutherford County business. We need wisdom from you. We almost need you to come in and kind of multiply the fishes, bread, living in hard economic times. Father God, I ask you to give us, these commissioners, wisdom. People sitting in this audience, wisdom. And come together in unity, find a solution for all these things. Just bless all that goes on in here tonight. I ask it all in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order of the Board of Commissioners. Commissioners, the first item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. We have a special guest with us tonight. The Mayor of the town of Rutherford is standing up, getting ready to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Mayor, thank you for doing
It is my pleasure. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioners, next item is the agenda approval. Thank you, Deborah.
Motion we approve the agenda.
Second.
Got a motion second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I call the question. All in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed, likewise. The agenda has been approved. Thank you. Commissioners, next item is 4137. Give me as I can catch up here. The public hearing on Project NewCo. I'd like to open up the public hearing and invite Margaret up here. Public hearing is now open. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to appear here before you. For several months, our office has been working with a state representative, a site location, and a prospective industry who is considering locating here in Rutherford County. The project has been codenamed Project NewCo as it represents two manufacturers who will come together to form a new company. The company proposes to create at least 125 new jobs, and it anticipates spending at least $45 million in the first 5 years. Should the company select North Carolina and specifically Rutherford County, it is expected that the state will be offering the company a Job Development Investment Grant known as a JDIG. The JDIG is a performance-based discretionary program that provides cash grants directly to companies to offset the cost of locating a facility in the state. Commerce is also expected to offer a $480,000 building reuse grant for improvements and upgrades in support of the project. This evening before you is a resolution authorizing a local economic development grant of 50% of the company's net new real and personal property taxes for the first 5 years. If certain job and investment numbers are met, the grant could be extended for an additional 5 years at the same 50% rate. Tonight's public hearing aims to gather public input on this matter before your vote.
Thank you. Commissioners, are there any comments or questions at this time?
Do you know the average salary or pay that will be offered at this company?
It is approximately $59,500.
All right. And this is in the Golden Valley area?
I'm not at liberty to say.
All right.
Any other questions? Thank you. This is a public hearing on 4137 on Project NewCo. This is a time for the public to come speak regarding this matter. So regarding this matter, does anyone like to speak regarding this matter at this time? Public hearings for Project NewCo. Is there a member of the public like to speak? And those of you that have been here before, you recognize that our attorney requires us to ask this 3 times. So we'll give the public a chance to speak on this matter. Okay, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, before you, there's a resolution, and at this time, I entertain the will of the board.
Motion to approve a resolution.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I call the question. All in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed, like.
After talking with the sheriff and the staff at the jail, we thought that it'd be better to have an in-person service. So we contracted with Preferred Choice Healthcare for this past year. According to the sheriff, the jail captain, and everybody else who's been involved, they've done an excellent job, actually gone even beyond what we would have asked from them. Their 2 owners have been involved and a lot of other staff members. So they are at the top line here for what in our request. So we're requesting $137,200. Are there any questions?
Commissioners, any questions?
And this is counseling for inmates or residents at the jail?
Yes, that's what Preferred Choice is. Also coupled with a reentry team that Partners pays for us out of their funds, so that we look to, once they leave the jail, to see if we can provide all the opportunities and services folks need. Again, keep them from visiting the jail once and not coming back. So we request that you approve this request.
Commissioners, there's a suggestion, action before you, and what's the will of the board?
Make a motion, we approve the funding recommendations.
Second.
Got a motion, a second, any discussion? Hearing none, call a question, all in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed, likewise. Thank you, sir.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.
Commissioners, next item is public comments, and we'll ask folks to have signed up. You have 3 minutes once you start speaking up here. Michelle Clement is first. Hello, Michelle.
Good evening, Chairman King, Vice Chairman Tony, Mr. Benfield, Mr. Hoff, Mr. Hayes, Mr. Garrison, and Mr. Williams. My name is Michelle Clement, and I have both the great honor and privilege of serving as the current principal of Rutherfordton Elementary School. This week across the nation, we celebrate our teachers and school staff with appreciation. I hope you and the citizens of Rutherford County will join me this week in showing our thanks and appreciation to the teachers in our county and to the school staff who support our students in schools each and every day. I am a very, very proud product of Rutherford County Schools. However, I, for one, never thought I would live in Rutherford County after high school. When I joined Rutherford County Schools in 2010, I was completely blown away with how innovative and forward-thinking the district that I had left had become. I am extremely proud and honored to be an employee of our public school system where all children are welcomed and wanted. As you consider the budget presented to you by the county manager later in tonight's meeting, I hope that you will be reminded of the importance of public education and in and of itself, and that Rutherford County Public Schools by far serves more Rutherford County students than any other entity in our county, not to mention it is the county's largest employer. Our district has gone above and beyond to provide transparency and address misinformation and flat-out lies. Each of you have known since February 10th our budget needs as you joined the specially called meeting of the school board to discuss the budget. Rutherford County Schools has responded accordingly to the challenges of the last 3 decades, but what has this board done in terms of public education support? Over the course of the last 14 years, since 2010-11, the year that I returned to this district, the Board of Commissioners has denied appropriating a total of $23 million that was requested by the Board of Education for the local expense fund. $23 million. I've been in education for 27 years now, and there is one thing I can tell you about funding. Educators do not ask for more than is needed, and we make dollars stretch in ways that are awe-inspiring. $23 million less than what we have needed, not wanted. Most of you refuse to acknowledge the efforts of Rutherford County Schools, much less extend any praise. The Education Matters campaign has gone above and beyond to be transparent and address all that has been thrown about to attack and bash Rutherford County Schools. It will not go away. It is now a movement, and we will keep moving, shaking, and advocating until our children in Rutherford County Public Schools get the funding they deserve. I ask you to do the right thing and honor the public office you hold and show support for the work of the public school, students, teachers, and other staff in Rutherford County Schools by allocating the full requested amount. Investing in our public schools is the best investment you can make in the future of Rutherford County Schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, is it Jonah Robertson?
Hello, Commissioner. My name is Juno Robertson. I am in 5th grade at Nickel Elementary. When I first started school, I had trouble enjoying school. I have had great teachers. My teachers have helped me become my best self in reading, math, all the things. I have been worried about the yellow signs everywhere that mention saving our school. I have some great ideas about what can be done. However, I understand that each of you has the opportunity to make the right choice and completely fund our schools. Our teachers should not have to spend their own money buying what they need after they have worked with us all day. Did you buy your office chair? Did you buy your office supplies? Does your office have air conditioning? We, the students of this county, are depending on you to make the right choice and pay attention to us. We work hard every day to grow and learn. We're depending on you to step up.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Jennifer Robertson.
Good evening, Commissioners. You've heard from my son, and it's my turn again. We've heard from quite a variety of citizens in this county over the past several meetings. Our teachers and our school employees work incredibly hard to educate the students of Rutherford County Schools. Not only do we educate, we serve them in various roles as stated at the last meeting, and we do it well. We have students excelling all over this county and this district, and they deserve to receive a fully funded education. We have phenomenal teachers in spite of all the shortages. You've heard from students. You've heard from teachers, principals, and school employees. You've also heard from the citizens of this county that elected you to serve. It's time to turn off Matlock, remove our headphones, and pay close attention during the entire meeting, not just after public comments. It is time, gentlemen, commissioners, to step up, to take a stand, and to do what is right and serve all citizens of this county and to serve them well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eric Gorney. Eric. Hello, sir. Just hand it to them down there.
Oh.
We don't come up to the dais. Apologize. We'll do that later.
My name's Eric Gorney, and I know you guys are getting a lot of requests for funding, right? Especially our schools. But I'm here to ask for tax relief. I realize many have made requests for you to spend a lot of money on all the services that the county has. And I realize that many of the people here are actually just asking for you to spend our savings to fully fund the schools. They're not asking for a tax increase. I totally understand that. But it seems to me like if we're going to use our savings to cover a spending gap now, we're just setting ourselves up for a tax increase next year or tax problems in the future. So, and we just dealt with that. A year and a half ago, you guys doubled my tax. I've come in and talked with you guys about that. Oh, you literally doubled them. And unfortunately, we can't afford it. We can't afford these high taxes. Instead, you should be cutting the budget to lower our high tax rate. Setting us up for a tax increase only hurts the poor in this. We simply can't afford the burden that you have placed on us. Here's a photo of just some of the county residents losing their homes, their land, because of the burdens that you have placed on them. I am a poor person, and I'm one who was affected by these. It's almost like, well, if you're a person who is on Social Security, or you have a fixed income, it's to the point where they have to decide whether or not they can pay their taxes or buy food, or pay their taxes and buy medicine. Or if you're just a regular person like me, working in the county, this county, it's not a real high-paying county. I'm working as hard as I can, and I have to choose between paying my taxes or buying food, or having a date night with my wife. These are things that I have to choose. I'm just saying the tax burden is too high. I'm here to ask that you lower the tax rate, that you find ways to consolidate some of our services. Even in the schools, maybe some of the services in the schools can be consolidated, maybe with ICC. My kids were doing it. As I've stated before, when I was in college, my largest class had over 300 people. It seems like we have overlapping.
Time's up, sir. Thank you.
Thank you,
sir.
We appreciate it. All right. Everybody that saw the public comment this evening, appreciate it. Commissioners, next item is the consent agenda. Is there an item you'd like to add or remove from the consent agenda? No, it's the will of the board.
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Got a motion second, any discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed likewise? Carries, thank you. Next item is 4144. Older Americans Month Proclamation. And Tammy Aldridge, Director. I'm not saying that you're older, Tammy. It just came up on the computer here.
Good evening, thank you for having me. And matter of fact, I am old enough to join the senior center now. So I'm honored to be here this evening as we begin celebrating Older Americans Month. This year, the theme is Flip Script on Aging. It reminds us that growing older doesn't mean slowing down. It means embracing new possibilities, staying connected, and continuing to live with energy and purpose. At the Rutherford County Senior Center, we are proud to bring that theme to life every day. Our goal is simple: to provide a space where older adults can thrive. If you are age 55 and older, we invite you to come be a part of our programs, whether it's playing around a cornhole, a game of shuffleboard, coming to our group exercise classes, working out in our gym, joining a painting class, walking on the trail, or taking a day trip with friends. And we offer so much more than this. But if you're 60 and older, you're also eligible to enjoy our lunch program, as well as free transportation to and from the center. We get our free transportation from a grant from NCDOT, our 5310 grant, and our Home and Community Care Block grant. We're very blessed to have those, and we will be getting over $165,000 just for transportation next year through those grants. We want everyone to know that the Senior Center isn't a quiet place to sit. It's a place to move, create, laugh, and connect. We're proud to be flipping the script on what aging looks like in Rutherford County. So tonight, I respectfully ask that you join us in recognizing May 2025 as Older Americans Month in Rutherford County, and that you consider adopting the official proclamation as presented.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for your support.
And are there any questions from the board, comments? Commissioners, those that are older than 60 and those that are less than 60?
Somebody looking at me?
What's the will of the board?
Make a motion, we approve the proclamation.
Second.
Said the young guy and then the old guy. We got a motion to second. Any discussion?
Just remember that in 1963, John F. Kennedy made May the whole month of May Senior Citizens Month.
I remember.
Awesome.
I do too.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed, likewise. Okay, carries. Thank you. Commissioners, next item is 4138. This is EMS Week proclamation. To recognize Caleb Johnson. Hello, sir.
Thank you, Commissioners, for having this tonight. As you guys are well aware, along with Older Americans Month, the third week in May is a National EMS Week. And this year is May 18th through the 24th. And as you know, EMS providers put their community's needs above their own needs. They respond to the cries, they treat the injured, and they save lives in somebody's hour of need. And they work hard in this community. The firemen, the EMS providers, the educators, even the emergency physicians, all work together and make one big team. And I do apologize about my voice. I just got it back today. I do apologize about that. But we do humbly ask that you would recognize May 18th through the 24th of 2025 as Emergency Medical Service Week.
Commissioners?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the proclamation to make this EMS Week.
Second it.
I got a motion, a second. Thank you, Commissioner. Any discussion?
Thank you for
Thank
what
you.
you do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your leadership and everything all the paramedics and medics do. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed, likewise. Okay, carries. Next item is 4140, and, sorry, let me catch it. Appointment to Rutherford County Boards and Commissions. I'd like to recognize our clerk to the board, Hazel Haynes. Ms. Haynes.
As you see in your agenda, you do have several appointments on Rutherford County boards whose terms will be expiring on June 30th of this year. And these boards' vacancies are listed on the county website. You may wish to advertise these vacancies and accept applications and then make appointments at a future meeting.
Thank you. Commissioners, is there a suggestive action or recommended motion before you? And at this time, I entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve advertising vacancies, accepting applications, and making appointments at a future meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Second.
Got a motion, a second. Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed, likewise. Carries. Thank you. Item 4145 is next. This is under old business. Pardon me, my computer's catching up. State cash flow loans for disaster response activities, amendment to loan agreement template. And I'd like to recognize our county manager, Steve Garrison. Mr. Garrison, good evening.
I just want to say quickly that you brought up 1963, and here I was born, so I'm hurt. I think my feelings are hurt. I'm trying to process that and figure it out.
I think we're...
State cash flow loans for disaster response activities, amendment to loan agreement template. General Assembly created a $100 million cash flow loan program under the Disaster Recovery Act of 2024. That was passed on December 11th of 2024. The goal is to help local governments whose communities were devastated by Hurricane Helene while they waited for federal money to arrive. You all remember last month at the April 7th, 2025 meeting, we passed a resolution to approve North Carolina cash flow loan agreement, promissory note, and associated agreements. And so what we have before you is to address concerns counties raised about how to handle expedited funding under the loan agreement. So that the State Treasurer's Office worked with outside counsel to finalize a template amendment to the cash flow loan agreement to account for the expedited funding from FEMA. Basically, when we sent in some of the reimbursement requests through FEMA for some of the disaster recovery work we did, we had that upfront funding that came in. The way they had this set up before was going to trigger a 5-day payback. So your action this evening will help offset that to ensure that that's not occurred. we did adopt or have this attached to your agenda as in the form of a resolution. Glad to respond to any questions you might have.
Are there any questions from the board?
So this takes care of that clause that you put in, that
Yes, sir.
there's not a 5-day payback?
That's correct. It would be within a year. I think that's the way that time frame works. We look to see. One of the things we're going to continue to hold out for is that it becomes a forgivable loan. I believe the Senate has moved it in that direction, but not the House, so we're waiting to see what's going to come out. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? This come as a recommendation, Steve, Mr. Garrison? Okay. All right. Commissioners, what's the will of the board?
I make a motion to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Yeah.
Thank you. Got a motion, and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed, likewise. Carries. Thank you, gentlemen. 4139 is next. This is regarding the audit contract. I'd like to recognize Steve Garrison. Garrison.
Thank you, sir. Gulkey and CPA Group, our auditing firm has provided the proposal to provide audit services for Rutherford County for year ending June 30th, 2025. The base fee is $79,000, which includes up to 3 major programs. Any additional major programs would be at $5,000 each. An engagement letter for audit services for Rutherford County and an audit contract attached to your agenda for your review. And we're presenting those to you this evening for your consideration. Glad to respond to questions you might have.
So when would this audit be complete?
It would be by the end of the year. Generally, we want to have those in by December. That's the target. With Hurricane Helene, we were clearly off time frame this year. We were able to get that submitted, but this is representing about a 2% increase.
Is this the same company that did last year?
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? What's the will of the board?
I make a motion that we approve the contract with Gould and Killian CPA Group, PA for the official year ending in June 30th, 2025, and authorize the county officials to execute all documents in support of this action.
Got a motion, need a second, please.
Second.
Got a motion, a second, any discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed, likewise. Carries. Thank you. Commissioners, next item is 4136.
Normal, how long and what shape an economic recovery will take, uncertainty of whether or not there's another recession just around the corner, and a near complete lack of data and comparable events to craft the fiscal year 25-26 budget. Due to the prior and ongoing impact of COVID-19, the current impact of Hurricane Helene, and the impact this extended inflation has had on our communities and local economy. Difficulty in crafting the proposed budget is exacerbated by multiple factors that will drastically impact the budget, including a substantial financial increase for public education and public safety, as well as wage adjustments in response to the quickly shifting and evolving regional workforce market behavior. The county invests heavily in our staff to ensure that they have the appropriate and required training, certifications, and credentials to effectively and efficiently serve our citizens. All budgets, economic conditions, of course, Uncertainty seems to be the prevailing sentiment when it comes to the 25 and 26 national, state, and local economies. Nationally, there may be early indicators that retail sales are slowing down, and the question remains as to whether the downturn in sales is an omen of what's to come. Consumer confidence has declined significantly in the early part of 2025, and the leading tracker of consumer confidence, called the Conference Board, noted that in its most recent survey, the expectations index dropped to a 12-year low and below the number of 80 that typically signals future recession. A recent Deutsche Bank survey put the possibility of recession at close to 50%. And a CNBC survey of CFOs found that 60% of them predicting a recession in the second half of 2025, with 15% more expecting a 2026 recession. Continued sustained inflation continues to be a problem. The 12-month inflation for all items is currently at 2.8%. Also, growth in sales tax revenue continues to slow. Following years of pre-pandemic growth that ranged between 4 and 7%, and multiple years of double-digit growth in the early 2020s, we are now in the midst of the fifth year-over-year decline in the growth rate. Billions of dollars in coronavirus relief funds, American Rescue Plan Act funds, community development block grants, federal and state broadband funds, etc., have been poured into our local and state economies for going on the fifth year now. And these funds are reaching a point of depletion as the state, local governments, education systems, nonprofits, and others complete the investment of these funds for various one-time projects. Also, many of our municipalities have increased their ad valorem tax rates to rates higher than the county's tax rate. The county reduced our tax rate down 14.3 cents to 45.4 during the last revaluation. And as the county uses the ad valorem sales tax distribution model as opposed to the per capita sales tax distribution, the shifting of the county and municipalities' tax rates, as well as the fire departments having retained their fire district tax rate, and not lowering their rates to a revenue-neutral tax rate, has caused a shift of several $1 million from the county's sales tax receipts to the municipalities and fire districts. I want to be clear, it's not that they don't need those funds. I know they do. This loss was, though, and however remains detrimental to the county's ability to further support education, which the county, we rely heavily on our sales tax allocation for that purpose. The impact of Hurricane Helene. There are a lot of uncertainties as to the short-term and long-term impact of Hurricane Helene on our local economy, including our ad valorem property taxes, sales taxes, occupancy taxes, unemployment rate, or the tax office is predicting that we will see a loss of around $36 million property value. So far, approximately 40 Rutherford County property owners have submitted applications to FEMA requesting the purchase or buying out of their properties, which means that if FEMA approves those applications, these properties will be deeded back to the county, be maintained as perpetual greenfields. These properties will come off the tax book. The county also has an excess right now currently of about $44 million committed of our general funds fund balance committed for financing debris removal, roadside and stream, rivers, and other rescue recovery projects. Although these Hurricane Helene debris removal projects qualify for 100% reimbursement, there's no guarantee as to when we can expect to be reimbursed by FEMA. On top of this, the TDA is estimating a loss of 40% of their occupancy tax collections for FY25. Wage wars. We continue to observe staff come and go from multiple departments to other local government entities as the local governments continue approving mid-year wage increases to compete. We're all competing with each other now. We're also losing employees to the private sector. We did include a 4% COLA increase in the current FY budget proposal, but we are already falling behind many of the local government systems and private sector companies that we generally compete with. The two biggest factors, challenges impacting the Sheriff's Office, EMS, DSS, and other office departments, which is true nationwide, is the retainment of existing staff and recruitment of new staff to fill open positions. As we move forward on the development of the FY 2025-26 budget, the budget needs to be developed with a strategy that will have a large impact on retention by moving our employees from a living wage to a thriving wage. Capital facility planning. Each year, we include funding in our budget to address a large number of capital facility needs, but we end up deprioritizing many critical projects as they simply will not fit within our limited physical or financial capacity. After successive budget cycles of doing this, many of the identified priority 1 and 2 capital facility projects that are now starting to accumulate, they need to be addressed. We are fortunate that we've been successful in securing legislative state appropriations and ARPA funds, which is aiding our attempts to address this backlog of capital outlay needs. However, post-Great Recession, we have a large number of capital outlay needs to address, and it's predictable that some of this will need to be addressed in this upcoming budget. Currently, the county owns close to 20 buildings and facilities that are over 40 years old, with at least 3 that are at or over 100 years old, including our historic county courthouse. I'll touch on that in just a moment. Medicaid expansion. This will be a recurring expense, which will drive up the cost of operating and managing DSS. Also, we're seeing a large increase in the number of children in DSS custody and the reduction of available certified foster homes in the county, which drives up operation costs significantly, as the cost to house children in our care outside of the county is much higher than the cost that the foster placements are within our board. Anyone that's here that would like to consider being a foster parent, please see this young lady. Sign you up. As we talk about the 25-26 budget, it is important that we look at what the internal factors are that rise up and place pressures on our physical management of services and programs we offer to the citizens that we serve. The county departments and offices are managed with approximately 475 budgeted full-time employees, 195 part-time, and 53 temporary, for a total of around 723 staff that are budgeted on our payroll. The county is the second largest employer. You heard a speaker say that they were the first. That is true. We are second highest in the county. Would love to see the day come when that's industrial and manufacturing that becomes our highest employer. Need to keep moving toward that. Planning, Public Works, Mr. Searcy over here. Solid Waste Department managed almost 500,000 square feet of building and facility space, representing in excess of 70 buildings and facilities and over 800 acres of property. The solid waste and airport properties alone exceed 600 acres of managed property. It's also important to note that all of the county facilities, equipment, vehicles, technology, and staff creates an exceedingly heavy burden for our planning and public works, garage, solid waste, IT, finance, HR, and other staff who provide support service. The following visual representations of the county capital facility property assets, as well as the county services and programs offered to our citizens, it clearly highlights the demands placed on our county budget each year. County government strives to improve the quality of life of the citizens we serve while being good stewards of their tax dollars. County services and funding is supported by ad valorem property taxes, sales tax, state funds, federal funds, grants, and department-specific fee-based revenues. Each of the county departments and offices that fall under the county government umbrella are impacted by decisions we make regarding our annual budget appropriations. Equally impacted are the community partners our budget supports, such as the Rutherford County School System, the public charter schools, Isothermal Community College, the Foothills Health District, the Economic Development Association, Court and Judicial Services, Isothermal Planning and Development Commission, GDA, multiple nonprofit organizations, and most importantly, our citizens who expect and deserve quality service delivery from their county government. The monumental task facing the Commissioners is how to ensure we are providing exceptional service delivery across all of our county departments while continuing to support the operations and capital needs of our community partners, all within a very restrictive and conservative budget. Important to note that Rutherford County does not have sovereignty from the government of the state of North Carolina. We are an extension of, an arm of the state government, and held to certain stringent statutory requirements to provide services and programs as the state mandates. Most of the departments and offices represented on this slide provide management of mandated services and programs as required by the state of North Carolina, and you'll see that most of this is safety net programs and services. The county does receive some federal, state, and philanthropic funds for some of the programs and services that we offer, but the lion's share of the cost to manage these departments comes from local taxes as mandated by state. In the 10-plus years that this current Board of Commissioners have been serving the county, we've experienced minimal growth in staff and services apart from the additional staff added to EMS that permit us to move that department from 24-hour shifts to 12-hour shifts. The recent acquisition and planned renovation of the old Bilo building was necessary primarily due to expansion within the judicial system. In the past few years, the state has added the 4th judge to our court district, a new public defender's office, has added additional court and probation and parole staff. The county is mandated to provide housing at no cost for the district attorney's office, judges, clerk of superior court, court support staff, public defender's office, probation and parole, juvenile justice, and guardian ad litem. That places a large burden on county taxpayers to cover that expense for state operations. Whether state mandated or not, most of the services and programs offered and managed by the county serve as safety nets for our senior citizens, children, individuals with physical and mental health needs, disabilities, individuals and families struggling with substance use disorders, our veterans, farmers, and individuals and families that are struggling financially. The Commissioners continue to hear from our citizens they desire to see the county prioritize funding for education and public safety. While I agree that education and public safety matters, it is critical that we not forget that education and public safety partners are not the only ones in the room. I recognize that our county department heads and their teams have become unintentional and unwilling victims of the vexing and deafening attempt by some to demonize and vilify county leadership, and that they find themselves in indefensible positions. Unlike some, our team leadership does not attempt to manage their departments and govern via social media platforms. These slides pay homage to your dedication and perseverance to serve the citizens of Rutherford County despite the distractions you've been presented with, and to let you know that we see and hear you. We hear your whispers in the wind, and we stand here this evening to let you know that you matter and the services you offer our citizens to help improve their quality of life matters. Thank you for your service. Time out. That's a lot. As I mentioned previously, the county manages almost 400,000 square feet of building and facility space, representing in excess of 70 buildings and facilities and over 800 acres of property. The largest concentration of county-owned properties can be found in Rutherford and at the Fairground Road Complex adjacent to Spindale. This includes the County Administration Building, Sheriff's Office, Detention Center, Courthouse, Public Defender's Office, Building Inspections and Planning, storage and parking lots in downtown Rutherford. Thank you, Mayor Dancy. At our Fairground Road properties, we house the Senior Center, Foothills Health District, the library, 3 DSS buildings, EMS, the maintenance and garage facility, the Evans Building, the 911 Operations Backup Center, Transit, Board of Elections, Veterans Center, and the Fairground Road Greenway System. As represented in this map of the county, we also have properties and facilities at numerous locations scattered all across the county that we continue to operate and maintain. This includes libraries, EMS stations, solid waste convenience centers, current landfill property, old landfill properties, which state requires the county to continue to maintain, old repurposed school properties, 911 Operations Center, the airport, animal control, several parks and historic sites, and roughly 5 miles of the Thermal Belt Rail Trail. We also anticipating in the grand opening of the new Legacy Soccer Complex very soon. The new soccer complex will be jointly owned and operated by the town of Far City and the county. We are extremely excited and proud to see this new complex come online this year, We're very appreciative for the RHI Legacy Foundation, TDA, and state legislative appropriated funds that covered the engineering, design, and construction costs for this project. We're also looking forward to the collaboration and partnership with Rutherford Soccer Association. They've been a key member to this process as well. Admittedly, the town of Forest City and County, we will incur some operations and management costs for this new complex going forward, but we do hope to bring in some additional revenue either through direct use of the property for tournaments and/or sales tax. So we're excited about that coming on. Due to the loss of our major industries in the 1990s leading into the early 2000s, the county's local economy became distressed, as we all know, which limited the county's fiscal capacity to tackle our burgeoning capital outlay upkeep, repair, and renovation needs. This was worsened with the onset of the Great Recession of 2008. By 2010, our unemployment rate reached 19% in January and February of that year. Although our local economy is improving, it's, in my opinion, becoming more diverse. We find ourselves attempting each budget cycle to address the backlog of capital facility needs. That includes roof systems, HVACs, boilers, windows for our large number of buildings and facilities. Our properties, and that includes repaving, resurfacing, patching, large number of parking lots, sidewalks, and all the other exterior things we have. Hang on. 1 minute. Our vehicles and our equipment are critical priorities. These pictures represent some of the county's oldest facilities and structures that we continue to attempt to identify funds to maintain, repair, and/or replace these aging facilities. That's not an all-inclusive list. You'll note that many of these structures are former school properties the county has repurposed, as new facilities were constructed by the school system by the county using local tax dollars or state bond reuse. Let's talk about some of our county properties. Biggerstaff Historic Property is probably one of our oldest besides the Beckler Mint. This was constructed in 1894. It's 131 years old. Our courthouse, the historic courthouse, was constructed in 1926. It will be 100 years old. Our West Court Street building, this former probation parole office and current sheriff's office storage facility, was constructed in 1937. It's 88 years old. The old Cliffside Hut, constructed in 1946, 79 years old. Public Defender's Office, 75-year-old structure, constructed in 1950, currently houses the State Public Defender's Office. The old Forest City Dunbar School, that structure was constructed in 75 years ago. The old Shiloh School Gym is also 75 years old. It's right now serving as a Quadford Extension Education Center and by the Board of Elections as a polling place. Our Davis Street Sheriff Office Annex. This 68-year-old structure was constructed in 1950. This building you're in right now, the County Administration Building, 67 years old. Constructed in 1958, was originally a grocery store. Currently houses county administrative staff, HR, finance, IT, legal department, and sheriff's office. The Veteran Services Building, 66 years old, was constructed in 1955 or 59, as was the Board of Elections and Transit Building. Our North Carolina Forest Service office was constructed in 1968, 57 years old. Our Solid Waste Garage, constructed in 74, it's now 51 years old. The airport hangar, our large one, was constructed in 1975, it's 50 years old. Our DSS building, A and B, this 48-year-old facility was constructed in 1977. County owns two old closed landfills near Highway 221A in the Henrietta, Caroline, and Cliffside community. Landfills came into use primarily back when all the large mills were actively using them and operated out of that community, or out of the Henrietta, Caroline, and the Cliffside factory. The old Cone Mill landfill, located on Pea Ridge Road in Cliffside, began operations in 1964, closed in 71. The old Avondale landfill site began accepting waste in the early 70s and was closed officially in 1995. Currently also being used as our law enforcement firing range. Although closed, NCDEQ requires the county to continue to perform maintenance on these landfills by removing any non-grass vegetation growing on. We have to continue to monitor water and gas wells that we had to install all around the perimeter of these old landfills. Relatively speaking, the Sheriff's Office Detention Center are not that old. However, the 1972 section has endured numerous renovations and add-ons over its 53 years, and the old jail cells located in that section are still in use today, along with the tower. The detention center tower section is only 28 years old. However, it does have some design flaws. The multi-story tower with a mezzanine design was not optimal for a detention center. The Sheriff's Office, they also house inmates 24/7, 365, who can be quite destructive. Captain Godel, I can tell you that. It's critical that we begin planning now to construct a new Sheriff's Office and detention center as well as a new courthouse. This will be a very expensive project, so it's critical that that planning needs to begin now. For comparison, Cleveland County is currently constructing a new justice center that will house the court system, Sheriff's Office, and detention center at a cost of $190 million. The first year's debt service for that new facility, estimating that to be approximately $19 million. That's greater than the combined totaled current year budgets for the towns of Rutherford and Spindale, which is approximately 14 points. That's just 1 year's worth of debt service. Other large projects we see on the horizon for which planning needs to begin now: construction of new high schools. East Rutherford High School was constructed beginning, I believe, in 1962. Chase High was constructed beginning in 1956. To construct a new high school of approximately 370,000 square feet, comparable to RS Central, the cost would be at a minimum of $325 per square foot to a high of $643 per square foot, depending on how we hit the market. That places construction costs between $120,250,000 to $237,910,000. Staff of the Rutherford County School System have suggested that the commissioners and county administrative staff visit and tour their schools and facilities. In my 10 years being the county manager, I've had the fortune of walking the halls and grounds of at least 12 of the school system facilities, either in a professional or personal capacity. I've always greatly appreciated my informative host. In spirit of reciprocity, I would extend a similar invitation to any school board members and staff members to tour any of these county facilities I've just gone through, especially our Sheriff's Office and Detention Center and our almost 100-year-old courthouse. I'm sure the sheriff and our clerk of court would be glad to accommodate a tour. Go back. It's a slide somewhere. See that. Apologies. I am so sorry. County has not financed any new significant county-specific facility construction projects since 2015, 10 years ago, when the Caroline Community EMS Base and Haynes Library were constructed. Our current slate of county capital outlay projects were not financed, and zero local tax dollars are being used for these construction and renovation projects, which are funded using the American Rescue Plan Act funds, legislative state appropriations, grant funds. That includes the following: the new Rutherford County Government Services Center, which is going in the old Bilo building, our new Animal Control Center, the acquisition and renovation of the old RS Middle School 6th grade building, cafeteria, creation of a 4th courtroom and DA offices in the current courthouse, and renovation of the lower offices for the Register of Deeds, the new Legacy Soccer Complex, 2 new Broad River water parks, renovation and redesigning of the current Sheriff's Office and Detention Center, Spindale EMS-based renovation, and the new DSS Lighthouse facility. I think we have a ribbon cutting tomorrow. So permit me to say it again, for the list of those capital projects I just covered, county taxpayers have incurred no debt service for those projects, and zero local tax dollars have been used for those. I hear that a lot, I get a lot of questions, so I want to be clear, transparent this afternoon about that. Let's talk about all the funds requests that came into the county. The total amount of funds requested from the county departments, offices, school system, community college, and other community partners came in at $107,237,287. That left an initial gap of revenues needed to cover the requested additional expenditures of approximately $13 million. When you back out the value of the economic development incentive agreements that we pay out each year, the value of 1 penny of the tax rate is currently at $1,026,602. That's the value of 1 penny. To accommodate this increase to the budget would require the addition of approximately 24 cents to the tax rate, which would increase the current tax rate of 45.4 to 69 for each $100 of appraised value. As of July 1st of 2025, the county will have debt service outstanding. This is what we still owe, $31,488,485. County represents 21.33 of that. ICC represents 8.53. School system represents 86.87%. And an old water sewer project the county funded in 2006 and 7 and 10 represents 1.29. The budget message recommends $10,749,933 as our debt service set aside for FY 25 and 26. Going into the new budget year, approximately 95.4% of our capital outlay total debt service outstanding will be tied to education. For fiscal year 25-26, we are recommending a total of $4,963,017 to Isothermal Community College, with $3,263,017 going to operations and $1.7 million to capital outlay. Including debt service for college capital outlay, the total county financial support to ICC in FY 25-26 will be $5,422,427. This reflects a 7.81% increase in operations and a 33.17% increase. Just a reminder to the commissioners, we do have a request as well for support of the new health and science bill, with a request from the community college coming at us for $4 million. That's something we'll need to take a look at and take under advisement and consideration at some point. Rutherford County Schools for FY 25-26. I'm recommending an appropriation of $25,767,592 for the Rutherford County School System, with $20,307,265 going to general operations. I'm recommending we do it a little differently this year. I'm also recommending $2,020,000 for teacher supplements. I'll explain that a little more in just a minute. And then $1,619,017 to fully fund school resource officers. We're also including a $1.8 million, $1,821,310,000, too many thousands, the general capital outlay, including debt service for capital, school capital. The total county appropriation supporting the Rutherford County school system during FY 25 and 26 is recommended $34,487,549. The total county appropriations to supplement education capital outlay over and above the sales tax and lottery fund distributions is recommended at $1,542,760. This is a 37.87% increase over current year's appropriation for operations and a 40.28% increase overall. The county does have, we currently do not have current salary and supplement pay information from the school system. However, we are aware that some higher level staff positions within the school system are earning annual supplements that range from $3,000 a year up to $27,000 a year. Not to diminish the critical role that all school system employees play as key members of the school system, but the most critical, life-changing, and life-impacting employees of the school system are our teachers. Yet they are only been offered an annual supplement of approximately $1,000. Setting aside a line item in the county appropriations to raise teacher supplements up to approximately $5,000 a year is long overdue. This will call for greater accountability to ensure that these set-aside funds are used for that purpose. We also recognize that the recruitment and retention of teachers is critical. This budget also proposes or recommends assigning separate line item appropriations for local county funds to cover the cost of SROs. In August of 2022, former Sheriff Francis and School Board Chairman Morrow came to the Commissioners, requested that the Commissioners increase the number of full-time equivalent positions assigned to the Sheriff's Office, which falls within your purview as County Commissioners. That was to ensure that all county schools had an assigned SRO. This request did not come with a request for additional funding. Commissioners unanimously approved the request, and the school system moved forward with contracting additional SRO support for their schools for FY 22-23. Leading up to or over the summer of 2023, there were several retirements and resignations of SROs, and the school system made the decision not to fill those vacancies. This budget proposal assigns a separate line item for local county appropriations for SROs to ensure that SROs are, once again, assigned to each school. The sheriff did include a request in his budget request this year to direct fund 5 SROs in his budget, which I respect that, recognizing that school safety is a priority for him as well as for Commissioner Haynes. However, as additional SROs retire or leave over time, with that number of direct funded SROs increased to 5, to 6, to 7. Also, it's up to the school system, not the county commissioner nor the sheriff, as to how to secure their schools, whether that be in the form of new technologies, enhanced facility features to secure the campuses, security resources, and more. I readily admit that I do not quite have a good understanding or comprehension of how low wealth funding is maximized. My understanding is that the amount of local county appropriation impacts the formulary used to permit the school system to draw down additional low wealth funding. Yet the full funding for SROs is not included in the local appropriation to the school system. Does that not impact their drawdown of additional low wealth funding? My final concern here is centered around the idea of the county direct funding any staff or contracted staff positions for the school system. Does this establish a precedence for consideration of other locally funded school system positions? And what does that mean as far as the charter schools in the county, which the county is prohibited from direct funding SROs or other positions as per the North Carolina General Statutes due to the organizational structure of charter schools? We've heard it loud and clear from the community. They would like to see greater financial support of public education and public safety. How do we ensure that we have sufficient physical capacity to do that? To be clear, the utilization of our general fund balance is not an option. Please permit me to elaborate. Am I the only one that's getting tired? I'm only 2 pages in. I've got about 20 more. Just hang with me. To understand why fund balance is not an option for consideration to increase funding for education and public safety, permit me to offer a 10,000-foot view explanation of local government fund balance purposes, restrictions, and general information. Just as a reminder, the audit that was released earlier this year was an end-of-year snapshot through fiscal year ending 2024. That's been over 10 months ago. Not a picture of where we currently are. Just a few slides quickly kind of get into definitions and terms. Fund balance versus reserve. Fund balance is an accounting term defined as the difference between assets and liabilities in governmental funds. The term reserve is often used by public finance practitioners, but isn't an actual government accounting term. It refers to the portion of fund balance held in reserve to provide a buffer against financial distress or risk, and is used to describe the net position of governmental funds calculated in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. Governmental funds reserves comprises the portion of total fund balance. The legal definition of the formula for available fund balance is the cash investments minus liabilities minus encumbrances minus deferred revenue arising from cash receipts, which equals fund balance available for governmental accounting standards. That's GASB. Statement number 54, fund balance reporting, governmental fund type definitions, governs the descriptions used to report fund balance. The statement focuses on the extent to which a government is bound to honor constraints on the specific purposes for which amounts in the funds can be spent, and breaks total fund balance into 5 different components. Non-spendable fund balance. Fund balance in this category is inherently non-spendable. This classification includes amounts that cannot be spent because they are either A, not in spendable form, or B, legally or contractually required to be maintained intact. That includes inventories and prepaid expenditures. Go back. I forgot. Restricted fund balance. This category is externally enforceable limitations on the use of fund balance imposed by parties such as creditors, grantors, or laws or regulations of other governments. Under that category, you have restricted for stabilization by state statute. North Carolina General Statute 159-8 prohibits units of governments from budgeting or spending a portion of their fund balance. This is one of several statutes enacted by the North Carolina State Legislature in the 1930s. It was designed to improve and maintain the fiscal health of local government units. Restricted by state statute, RSS, is calculated that at the end of each fiscal year for all annually budgeted funds. The calculation in GS 159-8A provides a formula for determining what portion of fund balance is available for appropriation. The amount of fund balance not available for appropriation is what is known as restricted by state statute. Appropriated fund balance in any fund shall not exceed the sum of cash and investments minus the sum of liabilities, encumbrances, and deferred revenues arising from cash receipts, as those figures stand at the close of the fiscal year next preceding the budget. Per GASB guidance, RSS is considered a resource upon which a restriction is imposed by law through constitutional provisions or enabling legislation. RSS is reduced by inventories and prepaids as they are classified as non-spendable. Outstanding encumbrances are included with RSS. RSS is included as a component of restricted net position and restricted fund balance on the face of the balance sheet. Also included in that are restricted for debt service, restricted for education, restricted for health services, restricted for capital projects, restricted for public safety, restricted for registered deeds, restricted for economic development. Next category is committed fund balance. This encompasses limitations imposed by the government on itself at its highest level of decision making. For example, governing board through a resolution. The governing board might like to commit a portion of fund balance to a stabilization fund, as an example, provide a cushion against unknown economic downturns and revenue declines. Assigned fund balance. This category is for the portion of fund balance that's earmarked for an intended use. The intent is established at either the highest level of decision making or by a body or an official designated for that purpose. For example, a portion of fund balance might be assigned to offset a gap in the budget stemming from a decline in revenues, or a portion could be assigned to pay up or pay for an upcoming special project. Also included under that are subsequent years' expenditures, which we have that quite often, HVAC replacement and roof replacement. We generally always end up with a lot of projects that are defined as fund balance available coming off at the beginning of that year. What that is actually a lot of projects primarily with Mr. Cersei's department that are carryover funds. Unassigned fund balance. This encompasses all fund balances that are left after considering the other 4 categories. Use is least constrained in the category of fund balance. This is a portion of fund balance that has not been restricted, committed, or assigned to specific purposes or other funds. The general fund is the only fund that reports a positive unassigned fund balance. In governmental funds, other than a general fund, if expenditures incurred for specific purposes exceeds the amount that are restricted, committed, or assigned to those purposes, it may be necessary to report a negative unassigned balance in that fund. Those last 3 components, committed, assigned, and unassigned fund balance, together comprise unrestricted. We break out the fund balance by type and category on this slide. At the end of fiscal year ending 2024, our combined total fund balance was approximately $136 million, with our general fund balance coming in at approximately $63 million. However, our fiscal year ending 2024 unassigned fund balance was approximately $47 million. It is important for the county to maintain a prudent level of financial reserves to guard its citizens against service disruptions in the event of unexpected temporary revenue shortfalls or unpredicted one-time expenditures. The fund balance has been accumulated to meet this purpose, provide stability and flexibility to respond to unexpected adversity and/or opportunities. It's also very important to remember that the school system, the community college, nor any of our non-departmental elected officials, such as the sheriff, the judges, the DA, clerk of superior court, and registered deeds, have taxing or debt service authority or responsibility. That falls squarely on your shoulders, gentlemen. The North Carolina Local Government Commission, LGC, does not look at a local government's fund balance available as a measure of physical health if that local government or public entity does not have the ability to levy taxes or to incur debt service on large capital outlay projects. Primary reasons for maintaining a prudent level of financial reserves are to plan for contingencies. Because of the volatile revenue sources such as property and sales taxes, governments will always face challenges when it comes to matching planned revenues with actual expenditures. Local events, such as the closure of a major employer, can also negatively affect revenues. Extreme events, such as winter storms or, as we experienced, hurricanes, they can increase operating and/or capital costs. Reserves can be used to make up these temporary shortfalls, and as we have discovered, having a strong fund balance permitted us to cover billions of dollars of hurricane relief and recovery projects, including debris removal, without having to secure state or federal loans. Our strong fund balance also permitted the county to move forward with the debris removal contract earlier than many other impacted counties, since it is a large reimbursement-based FEMA project. As of April 1st, and as I stated earlier, the county is currently committed to expend approximately $44 million of our fund balance towards Hurricane Helene relief and recovery. This is 100% reimbursable, but we do not anticipate receiving our reimbursement anytime soon, certainly not before the new fiscal year begins. It is also critical that we maintain a strong fund balance until we are able to see what the impact of Hurricane Helene will have on our ad valorem taxes, as we anticipate losing over $36 million in value due to the hurricane. We also anticipate that Hurricane Helene will continue to impact our sales tax and our occupancy tax for an extended time. As some of the municipalities and fire departments retained their tax rates, or they did not reduce them down to their established revenue neutral number post-revaluation, while the county lowered our tax rate in excess of 14 cents, we are losing millions of dollars each budget year, to those towns and fire departments that the county used to receive, which we use primarily to fund education. It's also critical that we maintain a strong fund balance, recognizing that it will be necessary for the county to draw down these funds to supplement our annual budgets each budget cycle until the next revaluation year for designated one-time capital expenditures. It's also critical that we maintain a strong fund balance until we determine what the actual construction and renovation costs are going to be for the fourth courtroom, the detention center capital project, and the renovation of the sixth grade building and cafeteria for the sheriff's office. We currently intend to apply our state legislative appropriations and ARPA funds for those projects, but as we continue to struggle with high inflation, supply chain issues, we anticipate those projects coming in well over current budgeted amounts. County must also maintain a strong fund balance due to the financing debt service the county carries for the county, the school system, CC. It's also important that we maintain good standing with the rating agencies. Bond rating agencies consider a strong level of reserves a sign of credit worthiness because it enhances the government's ability to repay debt on time and in full. This is critical as the county continues to evaluate current and future capital facility projects not only for the county but for the school system, community college, and justice system. As a reminder, none of these entities have taxing authority or debt service responsibility or authority. Critical that the county maintain fund balance reserves at the optimal recommended percentage to protect the county's credit rating and to obtain lower interest rates. It also helps us to avoid interest expenses. Cash reserves may be used rather than debt to fund appropriate capital projects. Currently, as I mentioned on a previous slide, the county has contributed to a slate of large capital projects using a combination of ARPA funds, state appropriations, grants, and fund balance without having to incur debt service or raise the tax rate. Along with the capital facility projects that I mentioned previously, the county also utilized our ARPA state appropriation grant funds to partner with internet service providers to expand access to high-speed internet. We purchased new sheriff's office vehicles, ambulances, including some new remounts, several new vehicles for other departments, new public safety equipment, replacement of old generators, HVAC and boiler systems, a full EMS base renovation, power load stretchers, and oxygen regeneration stations for EMS. It also serves as a flow management tool. Reserves can be used to cover times of the year that normally experience low levels of cash. Our ad valorem property and vehicle taxes make up the majority of county revenue. It's important to maintain a sufficient fund balance to cover our expenditures for up to 4 to 5 months. That includes monthly distributions of operations funds to the school system and the college. Also, maintaining a healthy fund balance level ensures that the county avoids LGC warnings. While the Local Government Commission recommends a minimum of 8% available fund balance for cash flow purposes, which, by the way, 8% would only cover our county operations for 1 month, the LGC looks at a multitude of factors to evaluate a local government's financial well-being, including the percentage of fund balance available for appropriation, our credit rating, indebtedness, over appropriation of fund balance for ongoing recurring expenses, effective tax rate, and ability to pay obligations in a timely manner. 4, it's important that we maintain a fund balance available for appropriations comparable to similarly situated counties. Due to the fact that county governments have taxing authority and can incur debt service for capital projects, the LGC encourages counties to maintain a fund balance comparable to similarly situated counties with similar operational budgets that ensures that the county has adequate funds to maintain operations for several months, if necessary, and that we have sufficient funds to cover our current debt service. Remember the $35 million slide I showed. That helps protect our credit rating and obtain lower interest rates on borrowing, which is critical when we do incur new debt service financing for new capital outlay projects. That we have sufficient funds to provide cash flow during periods of declining revenues and ensure that we have sufficient reserves for emergencies and unforeseen expenditures for the county and or the education system that we financially support. The Local Government Commission does consider fund balance available in the development of its annual unit assistance list. And if a county or municipality has a fund balance available that is significantly below that of its peers, similarly situated counties, which it was approximately 52% for FY23 and has been trending upwards as counties continue to face uncertainties which are unprecedented, and or is trending lower over time, the county would risk being added to the LGC units assistance. We would then receive a financial performance indicator of concern, meaning that the county did not meet the minimum requirement for fund balance available. The county would also end up on this list if the LGC discovers that our fund balance available is trending down because it is being used to cover ongoing recurring operational expenditures, and or if there's an over appropriation for our available fund balance. At the end of the day, if our available fund balance were used to cover the ongoing recurring operational expenses of our funded community partners, that could only be sustained for a brief period of time, as our fund balance is basically, it's our savings account. But then once our fund balance is depleted and we are unable to adequately replenish it, then the commissioners would have to consider a tax rate increase or greatly reduce services and programming. Mr. Gorney spoke well to that. I think he must have read my notes. This would also place us on the LGC's distress unit assistance list. We would not be able to maintain our good credit rating, and we would not be approved by the LGC for any future financing capital outlay. In summary, maintaining a healthy fund balance level ensures that the county avoids LGC warnings. It ensures that the county maintains a high percentage of fund balance available for appropriation. ensures that the county maintains a good credit rating, ensures that we have adequate funds to cover our indebtedness, helps the county to maintain an effective tax rate, ensures that we have the ability to pay obligations in a timely manner, and more. The factors that would trigger LGC warning includes our fund balance available trending down significantly, our fund balance being used to cover ongoing recurring expenses, and/or an overappropriation of the balance. Hypothetically, let's say we did spend down our fund balance to cover ongoing recurring expenses to further our financial support of education and public safety, which we could do only for a year or two. That's our savings account. Then what? Worst case scenario is that the LGC places the county on their dreaded watch list because we use those funds to cover ongoing recurring. Our credit rating drops and we find ourselves in a position to no longer be able to secure optimum interest rates on debt service. Our available fund balance falls below the percentage of similarly situated counties, and the LGC denies our request to seek financing on any future new capital outlay. For fiscal year 25-26, this budget recommends a total general fund budget of $94,273,625. Total budget for all funds at $124,421,717, and a 16.64% increase over the current fiscal year. That higher number, that's including those pass-through funds that we collect from the fire district taxes. Our current tax rate is 45.4 cents per every $100 of value. To support our general government operations while also increasing our financial support of public education and public safety, recommendation is that we adjust the current tax rate to 56.9 cents. That's an 11.5 cent increase. The tax rate has decreased from 60.7 down to 59.7 in fiscal year 2019-2020, and then down 14.3 cents to 45.4 cents in FY 23-24. For long-term and recurring fiscal support of education, public safety, and our general county operations, adjusting the tax rate to 56.9, that's what it's going to take to accomplish that. To be clear, this still leaves a lot of departmental funding requests unfunded, which would have required that we adjust the tax rate to 69.4, if you remember my earlier slide. That's what would be needed to fully fund everything as requested. To offer an example of how this would impact the average property owner, the owner of a property with a tax appraised value of $300,000 is paying approximately $1,300 a year in property taxes. Increasing the tax rate to 56.9 would increase this property owner's taxes up to approximately $1,700 a year. That's an annual increase of approximately $345 a year, $28.75. This is what our general fund budget pie chart looks like in our current year. Public safety currently makes up approximately 29% of our current budget. Education makes up 26.5%, and human services makes up about 23%. In the proposed budget, public safety currently makes up approximately 27.5% of our budget. Education increases 30.79%. Human services makes up about 20%. Just want to quickly point out the human services percentage is a bit misleading. Approximately 63.39% of the tax dollars used to support human services is reimbursed through state, federal, and grant sources, leaving only around 36.61% is covered by local county dollars. The county also continues to cover the gap in funds available for capital facility debt service for education. If we add in the portion of county funds used to supplement the school construction debt service, that's approximately $1,631,725. Education makes up approximately 35.51% of the appropriated county. One final comment I will make before I move on to our Solid Waste Department's enterprise budget is that I'm aware, you heard it tonight, school system representatives have publicly stated the county has underfunded them by $23 million since FYE 2011. Fact is that every county department office and community partner has not been funded at the level they requested in any given prior budget year. Since fiscal year ending 2017, I started in 15, so I started there, the county has received annual budget appropriation requests of approximately $780 million. We have appropriated approximately $632 million. That left a gap of approximately $148 million of requests that were not funded. The county has continually operated, or attempted to operate, limited capacity. Talk about solid waste. Rutherford County Solid Waste Department is operating as an enterprise system and is self-supported by the revenues generated by the program. Due to the increase in the operating costs, increasing of critical urgent capital facility and equipment needs, and the reduction in state revenues for state-mandated programming, it continues to be exceedingly challenging to generate revenue sufficient for meeting the current and ongoing operation of the capital facilities equipment costs for the department. Unfortunately, since our cost to operate and manage the solid waste operation as well as the cost for our vendors and their subcontractors continues to climb, we are unable to avoid increasing our various fees to cover those operational expenses. The primary factors impacting the solid waste department include continued and sustained increases in fuel, oil, tire, and parts, which, as you can imagine, for a lot of the large trucks and large pieces of equipment we have, it's very expensive. Also, fuel surcharges have increased due to fuel prices on our tire disposal and our MSW contracts. We have an annual 2 to 3% consumer price index increase for tire disposal, MSW hauling and disposal, and recycling, hauling, and processing. Increases in employee benefits due to larger than normal state increase. The Solid Waste Department continues to explore ways to ensure the fiscal sustainability of the Solid Waste Department as an enterprise fund. Focus has been on the following: to establish a fee structure that is fair, equitable, and less wealthy to implement and for the public to comprehend. The current fee structure places a large amount of the fiscal burden of supporting the operations and management of the landfill and transfer station, convenience centers on the back of the citizens who live in the unincorporated areas of the county. Currently, approximately 71% of our county population lives in the unincorporated communities of the county. Another goal is to ensure that revenues are generated that support the burgeoning capital facilities, equipment, vehicle repair, and replacement costs. This would permit the creation of an equipment replacement plan, a financial assurance plan with state mandates to cover the cost of maintenance to not only the old closed landfills, but to set aside funds for any future landfill openings or closures, and a capital facility plan and a future landfill sale. In order to meet our legislative requirement to present a balanced budget for the solid waste enterprise, we are recommending the following fee changes. The RA fee would go from $13 a year to $43. However, I've heard some of the commissioners state that you want to see us reopen convenience centers back on Wednesdays. We can do that, but if we do, we're going to need to adjust that fee from around 45 or 46 per year, depending on whether or not we include an annual COLA if you approve that. The SWW fee would go from $160 a year to $190 a year. Solid waste household fee would go from $70 a year to our homestead fee to $95 a year. The MSW tipping fee would increase from $76 a ton, $80 a ton. The C&D tipping fee would increase from $66 a ton to $70 a ton. The brush tipping fee would remain the same at $45. Key takeaways from the proposed budget is that we continue to address continued inflation operations and management cost increases and supply chain issues. ensure quality service delivery for our citizens, increase our financial support for education and public safety via recommended tax adjustment to 56.9 cents to ensure ongoing sustainable fiscal support, and then focus on staff recruitment and retention. This budget proposes a 4% cost of living adjustment. That translates to an 8% increase in the wage rate for most county employees in 2 budget cycles. You approve that. However, as much as that's going to ensure that all of our positions are at or close to being at market, we know that that's only going to be for a very short period of time. We're continually having to reevaluate where our current salaries are to see what we have to do in order to be able to be competitive. As I've stated previously, it's critical that we adjust the wages of our employees commensurate with the cost of living increases and to remain competitive in the regional job market. Because so many of our county positions require various certifications, credentials, and training to perform their tasks, it's important that the county receive return. The sustained pressures placed on our budget caused by continuing inflation, supply chain issues, as well as ensuring that our employees can earn a thriving wage, have created unique challenges for us. These will continue to linger beginning in the FY 25 and 26 budget cycle. Rutherford County employees and our leadership teams have demonstrated an ability to persevere and weather the storm, which I am very appreciative and proud to be included among their ranks. I would like to publicly acknowledge my great respect and appreciation for Rutherford County department heads, our administrative team here at the administration building, as we navigated through this complex budget process. Permit me to specifically acknowledge the contributions of Planning and Public Works Director Danny Searcy, IT Director Jay Dordery, HR Director Deborah Connor, and their teams as they expended additional time and resources pulling together information, data, and numbers from each of the county departments, including our capital facility plan, our IT hardware software plan, and the departmental human resources. Finally, Director Paula Roach and her team work extremely hard to ensure that we maintain a high credit rating, that our expenditures stay within budget, that the integrity of the handling of our finances are beyond reproach. Director Roach is a credit to her profession. We're exceptionally blessed to have her as our. In the end, the recommendations contained in the recommended FY 2025-26 budget are those of the county manager. I appreciate the opportunity to continue to serve the Board of Commissioners and the citizens of Rutherford County. I look forward to working with the board to review these recommendations and adopt budget ordinance. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. Commissioners, that was the budget presentation from the county manager. Before us now is the approval of our budget workshops, the public hearing, and the budget adoption. The workshops are May 13th at 5 o'clock, May 27th, 5 o'clock, June 2nd, 6 o'clock would be a public hearing, and then June 5th would be the public adoption. With that in mind, what's the will of the board regarding these dates for the budget workshops, the public hearing, and budget adoption?
Make a motion, we approve these dates.
I've got a motion, we need a second.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, any discussion? Any discussion? We had, in order for tomorrow morning, Hazel Haynes will be sending to the school board staff, the chairman, request for the following items. The trial balance for fiscal year ended 6/30/2024 by fund. The trial balance for fiscal year ended 6/30/2023 by fund. The trial balance for fiscal year ended 6/30/22 by fund. Audits for the same years, 2022, 2023, and 2024. A salary listing of all staff of the central office, office of superintendent, and school principals. The reported ADM for Rutherford County Schools in 2024 through 2025. The funded ADM for Rutherford County Schools in 2024 through 2025. The top 5 non-construction contractors paid in the fiscal years ending 6/30/2022, 6/30/2023, and 6/30/2024. All non-construction contractors paid over $100,000 in those fiscal years of 6/30/2022, 6/30/2023, 6/30/2024. And finally, the number of staff hired are paid initially using the ESSER funds, who are now being paid from the state or local funds. I want to make sure the commissioners be aware of that, and the public as well, and the school system will receive this in the morning. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I call the question regarding the dates. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, thank you. Next item is a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Got a motion, need a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the question. All in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed likewise? We're done. Thank you, everybody.